Good evening, cadets, and welcome. Tonight we'll be covering 4 key amendments of the United States Constitution. These 4 key amendments will be a major part of your career choice as law enforcement students. So get your pens and notepads out. Got them? Good. Alright, now I am going to be going over these amendments. The ones that I'll be going over are the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th of the United States Constitution. I do not expect you to memorize the wording in their entirety. I haven't. But still I will speak them. I simply want you to take notes on basically the main points, what they mean. I will elaborate afterwards to make this easier on you. The 4th Amendment of the United States Constitution states, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause and supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." What does this mean? Simply that an officer cannot decide, I don't like that guy, I don't like his face. Let's go, I bet he's got a pot plant in his house. Let's go search his house for a pot plant. Nope, that's actually illegal without any probable cause. If he has no reason to believe that that man has done anything illegal, he cannot simply decide that he's going to do that. And now they mentioned warrants. Warrants are the same. They also, more so, they require probable cause. They cannot simply go to a magistrate or a judge and say, I don't like that guy, he's a scumbag, he gives me a bad feeling. I can't, he can't do that. And the judge isn't allowed to give him a warrant off of a hunch. It must be issued under probable cause. And it also can't be something vague like, I'd like to search, the entire state of Indianapolis to see. No, that's extremely no. For example, a decent one would be, for example, maybe there's neighbors complaining about your tool shed emitting a strong odor and shady characters coming at all hours of the night. This can be more reasonably used to get a search warrant to search your tool shed and nothing more. Now he goes into your tool shed, he looks inside, and what does he find? 450 pounds of marijuana. You have now been taken into police custody and charged with possession with intent to distribute because he did everything properly. Keep that in mind, everyone. If you do not follow the process, your case will be deemed inadmissible and thrown out of court. Alright? So, I guess we now go to the 6th Amendment of the United States Constitution. The 6th Amendment says, and I quote, "In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have assistance of counsel for his defense." What does this mean? Simply that they cannot deny you a lawyer, or you are to have a speedy trial. They can't, push it off and push it off for an unreasonable amount of time, perhaps keeping you imprisoned until um, your witnesses have had time to forget, had time to, let's just say it, die off. They're not allowed to do that in order to, basically push it on you as the individual. They are required to do a speedy trial, and they are not allowed to deny you counsel. You are allowed to get your own witnesses to testify with you. You are allowed a lawyer, and often appointed one if you can't afford one. The Fifth Amendment also comes into play during this. The Fifth Amendment states that no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces, or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. What does that mean? If you were, for example, in this hypothetical pot case, if you were to be acquitted on this, the same court cannot bring you up on the same charges again, and see if they can get you this time. That is completely banned by the Fifth Amendment of the United States. They can get you in a civil suit, but it's a slightly different story. Basically, you can't be sent to jail for the same thing after you've already been let off of it and, proven not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You also are not forced to testify against yourself. They cannot make you testify and basically, incriminate yourself. That is also forbidden by the Fifth Amendment. Have you ever heard the term, I plead the Fifth, in those court shows? That's what they're talking about. You can do that in court. Okay, let's say that despite all of that, in this hypothetical case, you were not acquitted, but in fact, you were convicted. The Eighth Amendment will now come into play here. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor shall excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. That's pretty straightforward, right? Well, there's really not a lot to say on that one. I can elaborate further anyway. They can, possession with intent to distribute, returning to the hypothetical, is a felony, meaning that you can receive past a year in prison and over $1,000 fine. They cannot, however, execute you for this, nor can they torture you or cause you some kind of physical or mental anguish. This is strictly forbidden by the Eighth Amendment, as well as human decency, in my opinion. They also cannot enforce excessive bail. For example, when you're awaiting your trial, they cannot say you're a destitute individual and you're deemed not a flight risk, but maybe they don't like you, so they vindictively decide to impose $1 billion bail. No, this is forbidden big time by the Eighth Amendment. They can't do that. All right? Let's see if I have anything else to cover. Nope. I think we're good. Okay. Okay, cadets. Got everything? All right. Any questions? All right. Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.